why you should learn the new modern pranayama first and master it before you start your traditional pranayamas. I've been saying this for 30 years now. In this video, what is pranayama? What makes a pranayama, and what is the new pranayama? Here we go. Let's do it. Welcome to the Inward Practice. My name is Nistal. Today I'm talking about the differences between traditional pranayama and the new modern style pranayama. What makes traditional pranayama a pranayama? So what is a pranayama? Pranayama is a yoga breathing technique. So that's simple, yeah? Pranayama is a yoga breathing technique. Then what kind of breathing technique? Well, there are many, but there is one thing, one element, which makes the pranayama a pranayama, which makes it so that we call it a pranayama, which is the kumbhaka. And kumbhaka is the holding of the breath, the pausing, the stopping of the breath. So in episode 1 and 2, I was talking about the unconscious breath patterns of minimizing the breath and holding the breath. And we do that because we feel emotionally overwhelmed. And so we hold the breath in so that the expression will never happen. Or we hold the breath in so the energy from outside of ourselves doesn't affect us that much. So we have unconscious holding patterns in the breath. And this is very important for you to understand and also to recognize when you do it. Right? But then when we look at the traditional pranayamas, they're only called pranayamas when there is within the technique a holding of the breath. Now, in the pranayamas also, the yogis love to count. So many counts in, so many counts pause, so many counts exhale, so many counts pause. Great, and in the holding of the breath, stillness comes or rises. Could be both. It's like the stillness of existence is flowering, blossoming, raining upon us. But also there's the depth of the stillness from within that arises. And in the holding of the breath, one can experience that. My personal experience in the holding of the breath, which I first started to learn almost 40 years ago, it was in the Kundalini yoga practice. And there we would also work with the Bandas, the energy locks, which we could say it's the pelvic floor and the lower belly pulling in and up. Or the perineum contracting, pulling in and up. And that will push the Kundalini energy along the spine, up to the crown of the head, opening your crown chakra, expanding your consciousness, opening up your oneness with existence, with the universe, with the divine. So you do become that bridge between heaven and earth, with your feet firmly grounded on the earth or in the earth, and with your crown firmly settled in the heavens. So in those Kundalini yoga days that I did it like 2, sometimes 3 times a week, early mornings, 4:30, 5 o'clock, and really pushing that Kundalini energy up. I mean, I had showers of Kundalini energy, like a fountain coming out of the crown of my head, feeling like lukewarm, warm, and sometimes a little bit cold water, but it's like energy, right? It's prana, it's life force energy. So yeah, so that is also a goal in the yoga, to bring the Kundalini energy up so we can awaken to a higher consciousness. But also for that is the stillness and calm and centeredness needed. It's needed for that, you know. So that's like the goal of yoga. It's the goal of pranayama as well. And so what stands out most is that holding of the breath. The thing is that yoginis, we do a lot on willpower, on effort, you know. We're like warriors. We're like spiritual warriors. But, you know, you can do it with your poses, with your asanas, but you might be more prone to getting injuries. If you do it with your breath work, with your pranayama, is more dangerous than just a physical injury, because you work so much on the energetic layers and the energetic highways through your system, pathways, highways, that it can be dangerous, because in the course of our lives, we get inhibited, we get blocked, we block ourselves, we block our expression, we block that which comes in, we block that which goes out. You know, we block the whole process of exchange of energy with life, with existence, with people. So let's say there's this river of energy, or this highway of energy, but then there's a block, and then the energy doesn't go there, it just goes there instead of there, because there's a block here. Like a big rock on the road, or a big rock in the fast flowing river, and that water will go up or go left or go right, will go another direction. In fact, a whole new river might spring from that block, which then is not the natural free flowing river, how it's supposed to flow. So, when we push that Kundalini energy, that prana, that pranic energy, when we push it up, when we activate it by yoga and breath work, by living healthy, when we activate it, when we expand it, the energy starts to flow in those meridians, right? In those highways, in those rivers. And when there are certain energy blocks, certain rocks on the road or in the river, then it might do something to that natural flow of energy. And it could start flowing in wrong directions, leading to all kinds of disbalances. So, all the different elements of your yoga path, your yoga practice, your inward practice help you to become natural again, to take away, to purify that which is unnatural. It could be certain negative thoughts, certain negative behaviors, addictions, judgments, the way you take care or not take care of yourself, of your body, of your breath. Many things may be roadblocks, yeah, and may do something to the natural flow of energy, of who you really are. So this brings me to the point where I have to say, and I say it in most of my breath circles or breath workshops, I am not in favor of teaching people to hold the breath. I know these days there are many more breath coaches that teach that to people. But I would say that is a danger. Because when you already have unconscious holding patterns in the breath, in order not to feel, in order not to express, in order to block the natural flow of energy within yourself and with existence, with life, and then you start to practice holding, so you become better in the holding, in the contraction. You become better in blocking the natural flow of energy. That is not the state that we want to be in, that you want to be in. You want to become natural. You want to become flowing and easygoing and all good feelings, or all, we will accept not good feelings. But basically we want to feel good, of course. Now, the holding of the breath, the kumbhaka in pranayama, when you manage to bring that kundalini energy up, you will get into the trance, into the meditative or hypnotic trance state, which is really, really beautiful. And there you can experience the oneness with all that is. You can feel the expansion of your aura, of your energy field. But there is still the danger. And when I was young, in my early 20s, and I started to do the Kundalini yoga practice, and we did a lot of Banda practice and pushing the energy up and the kumbhakas. I mean, I loved it. I loved it. But the energy was going up and up and up, and my energy was not used to ground me, because I was not just a grounded person yet. And we live today in a society that is not grounded, right? Because we all live in the head. We all live in our ideas. It's already completely out of balance. The energy is just flowing one way, and that's up. So most people will have a lot of difficulties when they do these things. to stay grounded. But the thing is, the energy is up here, but the crown chakra is not open. People are not connected to Mother Earth anymore, and people are not connected to the divine anymore. That's why I think that the New Age spiritual scene is so big, because people somehow realize they need to restore the balance with the higher consciousness, with being one with the sun, the moon, the stars, the cosmos, the godliness, the divine. Maybe not God as a religion, as part of a religion, but the godliness. Goddelijkheid, we say in Dutch. The divine. So that is also where the ultimate ecstasy and bliss will happen, and the ultimate freedom, which I was speaking of before in episode 1 and 2, and in another video before that. The goal of yoga is ultimate freedom. Is that bliss? Is that oneness? So I teach people first the connected breathing, the new pranayama. Because there's the eternal father of the earth. He's called Babaji, Hirakan Babaji. He gave his blessings to Rebirthing, the connected breathing, and Leonard Orr, the founder of Rebirthing, of connected breathing, which we see now, at least here in the Netherlands, it's used a lot by breath coaches. But it's then mostly used for emotional release and screaming and beating a mattress, which is partly fine, but it's also very restricted. Anyway, I digress. But Babaji, who is the eternal father of the earth, gave his blessing to Rebirthing, to the connected breathing, and said, this is the new pranayama. I love it. I'm doing the Rebirthing, I'm practicing the Rebirthing method for over 30 years now for myself, almost daily. I mean, not always, but a lot. And I teach it to my clients. For me, it is the most healing technique. It is the most powerful technique. It is the most inwardly transforming technique. It helps you to receive that self-knowledge and that insight of how your mind and your body and your emotions and your breath and your behaviors, they all are one, working together. So I teach people first to break the two patterns of minimizing the breath and holding the breath. So I teach people to expand the breath, breathe in fuller than they normally do, and make it a continuous breath without the pauses, without the holding. So that's step 1 and 2, let's say. And so when applying, when doing that kind of breathing, when using that method, then the energy is activated, your prana is activated. You take in much more prana with each inhale, and also you're able more to release and let go with each exhale. So you get a flow of prana in and a flow of apana, as we call it, out. And people can start to feel that with tingling sensations, a bit lightheadedness. There are certain sensations or symptoms that can come with the breath, but they are still signals of the breath not yet being completely harmonious, not yet being completely healthy. There's still then a bit of a disbalance between inhale and exhale, and in the transitions between inhale and exhale. So when people learn to master slowly the connected breathing, the rebirthing technique, what happens then for them? They start to restore the balance, the harmony between and within the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body, the behavioral patterns, and the breath patterns. So they start to see how it all works together, and it all comes back into harmony and start to feel good. People learn to let go again, because I have found out that a lot of the stuckness that people experience in their lives and the difficulty to change and transform themselves comes because of stuckness in the breathing patterns, yes, but also stuckness in their emotions. They have taught themselves over time to not express their emotions. Now, that puts a lot of pressure on the breath, a holding pattern, a tightness around the rib cage, a tightness in the diaphragm. So it takes some time to free that. And so when people are able, after a certain amount of time, a certain amount of breathing sessions, when they are able to be more natural again, when they are able to breathe, to continue the breath with whatever is happening in their lives, whatever emotions comes up, and if they are able to keep breathing and keep speaking the truth in a good ways, stay connected with people, whatever happens, not being triggered and reactive all the time. When they are able to keep the connected breathing going, so to say, then it becomes interesting to go back to the traditional pranayamas. So first learn the new pranayama, connected breathing, aka rebirthing, and then learn traditional pranayamas. Now, there's one thing about the traditional pranayamas that I have to say. They are called Kriyas. Kriyas are not official traditional pranayamas. Kriyas are pranayamas without the kumbhaka. Kriyas are pranayamas, yoga breathing techniques without the holding of the breath. And that is where Kriyas, yoga breathing techniques, still, they have a big overlap with the new pranayama, with the connected breathing, with the rebirthing. And I will go deeper into that in the next episodes, more in the techniques and how to open the breath. So episode 1 till 3 is more theoretical and philosophical, and episode 4 and 5 I will do some breathing exercise with you. Maybe there will be some, theory and philosophy as well, but there will also be some practice, some inward practice. That's it for now. I hope you have learned something and really watch episode 1 and 2 to understand the two worst breathing patterns that most people have. So you understand where I come from. So you understand why I choose the new pranayama over the traditional pranayama. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one next week. Namaste.